This is episode 339, and we're talking all about the future of content that is more human and not AI with Maria-Katarina Johannesson. Welcome to the Content Queen podcast. I'm your host, Mariah, entrepreneur, storyteller, digital nomad, creative content bootcamp, and founder of Content Queen with over 10 years experience in marketing. This podcast is here to help you create the perfect or most ideal content marketing strategy for you and your business by blending storytelling and strategy. So let's get into it. Hello, gang. All right. I'm going to give you a quick update of my morning because, I don't know, I feel like it's always nice to share these things. I locked us out of the bus. Yep. We started locking the bus at night because even though we stay in caravan parks, you just never know. And then this morning, Mitch was in the shower. I got up to go to the toilet and I just shut the door. And it was raining, like sideways rain. Anyway, that was traumatizing. So if anyone's ever locked themselves out of the house, can you let me know? Because I was so traumatized. It's crying so much. It's that time of the month, all right? I'm hormonal. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you because, you know, we all do silly things that make us feel silly. And that was one thing that I did. Okay. And that is perfect because that's what makes us human, right? And I thought I would share that human experience with you because today we are talking about content, the future of content, and this human element, because I think we're getting, you know, sometimes we're like not trusting things. Is that AI? Is that someone speaking about that? Is that written by ChatGPT? Like all the things. So if you're thinking about like, where does this leave us? What does this mean for me and my business? How do I create that authenticity? This episode is perfect for you. And we have Maria-Katarina, who is going to come on and chat all about her experience as she works in SEO, she works in marketing, she's seeing these SEO platforms like, you know, Google and AI change so much. So we're going to have a conversation about it. She's all the way from Sweden. So Maria-Katarina Johannesson is better known as Links and Maria. She's all about creating these real plant moments, as she calls them, in marketing, which are genuine, rooted connections that actually grow something. For her, that means showing up with authenticity, honoring who you are, and never forgetting the sales perspective. She specializes in links building and digital PR, helping businesses show up on both Google and AI search. She also helps brands build the kind of authenticity that gets them recommended, not just ranked, always with a people-first approach. So it's a great conversation. I'm keen for you to check it out. Welcome, Maria-Katarina, to the podcast. I'm very excited. We've just chatted about our lives before we hit record, as I always like to do. But can you tell everyone a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. My very Swedish name is Maria-Katarina Johannesson, and that is super complicated. I get it. So I go by Links and Maria, much easier. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden, and what I do is the short version is backlinks. The longer version is that I help brands get in front of their audience in AI search and on Google.
Amazing. That's what we need right now because
Yeah.
everyone's sort of scrambling on social media and doing all the things. And there's so many,
Yeah.
what I love about this sort of work and marketing is there's so many different cool ways to market your business other than just social media, which I love to talk about. But how did you get to this role? Like, how did you get to working for yourself and doing this work online for business owners?
It's actually quite interesting because my dad has always been he's always been self-employed. He's always been an entrepreneur, and his expertise is copywriting. Actually, very similar to what you're doing. I know you're into storytelling and really emphasizing on the role of storytelling. So when I was little, I started to around 5, 6 years old. I started to go to his office and help him. I mean, obviously not help him as in but you know how kids are, you know, like,
Yes.
oh, can we do this and do that? And he always showed me this really, really deep level of curiosity, respect, and be like, oh, maybe we could do this, like actually communicating with me, answering to me. And just I think that's where it actually like started the whole brainstorming process, just being able to view the world in a different way. And later on, when I grew up, I went to college and, you know, got a degree and the classic 9 to 5 route. But I think I always had this urge of wanting something more, wanted to find a combination or find a role or a field where I could combine both the human aspect of things, but also the technical side of things. And I started to investigate and discovered, let's say, digital marketing. And when I dug a little bit deeper, discovered this role, this SEO, and uh, did a little bit. I just see this little animal who's like digging in the soil all of a sudden. I think you have those animals in Australia. There's like one animal, I can't remember, whatever.
Yes, we have a
Um,
few that dig in. We've got a wombat that creates her
oh
own
yeah,
hole.
that's probably what I'm seeing. Like
Yeah, yeah.
very, very. Sorry, that was not the point. Uh, the point is that I was actually looking for this field where I could find the right combination between
Mm,
the human aspect and the technical side, because I think we are going to come into that a bit later. But I have a big need for human interaction, for honoring the human aspect of things. And for me, digital PR, backlinks, being visible online, you can call it just with the evolution of SEO and where we are heading towards, it's going to be it's more nuanced. So for me, it's not really about saying, oh, I only do backlinks or I only do digital PR. I'm more interested in the end goal, which is how can you show up in an authentic way so people actually feel something and feel that you are the right solution for them. Does that make
mm.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying. And yeah, I think it's probably especially in SEO. I know of course on in social media with AI things have changed so much, but I know
Mm,
with the likes of Google and how people are searching and finding things, it's evolved, back in the day, I used to do copywriting for a SEO marketer and do all the blogging
mm,
and all the
mm,
things. And not that that stuff doesn't exist, but obviously it's just
mm.
changed so much. But
Yeah.
you talked about the human aspect, which I think is
Mm,
very interesting. And I found myself watching. I was watching Colombia play because today, because
mm.
my partner's
Yeah.
Colombian. And
Yeah.
now the referees, right? They do their job, but
Mm,
they have the systems now to like review things. So if they're unsure of their
mm.
call, they go
Yeah.
to this like tech, and then the tech
Mm,
decides, gives them the information they need. And I thought that's quite an interesting analogy for people that probably feel really like overwhelmed and daunted by the fact that AI is now very much here and here to stay and tech.
mm,
And this lens of like, oh my God, it's going to replace this and it's going to replace that, where a lot of it does just enhance the role. And I do truly
mm,
believe that those that embrace it are the ones that, like, I imagine
mm.
back when they'll see, like, oh, back in the day when they played soccer, it was like, that was the rule, that was the call, and you just
Mm.
had to deal with
Yeah.
that. And in Australia, we have cricket, which is massive here,
Yeah.
and they have the sounds now that you could hear if the bat touched the ball and
Mm,
all these things. And I imagine it just, some people will say, oh, back in the day it was easier, but maybe it just makes for a more fair game, right? More fair, more and sport
mm,
can be seen in a different light. But I would love to get your take on that element of human and AI,
mm,
being that
mm,
more human is actually playing a bigger role in the
mm,
transformation of AI. I was keen to hear, your thoughts on
mm.
this.
Sure. So I'm all about like the bigger goal. Again, to go back to that, what in the world where we are right now, what is actually, if you run a business, what is what is your goal? Well, your goal is probably to sell more products, to sell more services, to get in front of the right people at the right time, to gain not only visibility but to be selected, because those two are different things, right? And for you to do that, if we're talking now more AI in terms of content, um, I think if I think like this, you can be the best person when it comes to typing in prompts in AI and tweak and all that. But what happens if we all read the same tactics? We all end up putting in the same prompts in ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or wherever, the output is gonna be what Google is referring to as commodity content,
Mm.
right? So that's gonna be very generic content. It's very gonna sound the same. And how are we gonna meet our end goal now? Where is the differentiation when it comes to standing out? How are we gonna achieve our end goal if we all sound the same? It's gonna be impossible. Do I think that we can use AI? Absolutely. Do I think we should be using AI? Absolutely, yes. But I think we should be mindful of how we are actually using it. I'll give you an example. So, uh, before, I think it was like 2 days ago, I was starting to write a new article on my website. And I had a draft and I wanted to put it in ChatGPT just for me to give it some feedback. Um, and I was very specific, like do not add more words, do not change it, just give me like slight feedback and maybe change some grammar in the outline. Bear in mind, this was just an outline or draft. And it came back to me, and of course, it was very like, oh, now it's much better, being the humble version of self as it is. And and when I read it, not only was it very different from what I had written in the beginning, but that's not unusual that it tweaks a little bit more than we're actually t telling AI to tweak.
Mm.
But the more interesting aspect, and an aspect that I think is often forgotten about, is what happened inside of me. Because I started to almost wanting to accommodate AI or ChatGPT, where I wanted to be like, what? I became almost insecure. Oh, was my version not good enough? Okay, maybe I should write this. Okay, my version wasn't good enough. You see where I'm going with this?
Mm.
So uh, sorry, maybe I went off on a tangent. I'm just, this is a very stream of consciousness with the way I speak. So, but in terms of ideation, I use AI a lot. If I want to explore different tone of voices, I know that people are exploring Claude Cowork at the moment and Coworker and really discovering awesome things. And I'm doing that at the moment as well. Um, so yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess like yeah, definitely. It's an interesting concept to think about that sort of really generic content that comes out from
Mm,
using
mm,
AI. And like as you're
mm,
saying, you can put in really great prompts, but at the end of the day, like it is taking from things. Like if anyone's
mm,
noticed, you might give it some insight. You might even give it like a testimonial from a client and you ask it to like create like
mm,
a caption for social media or a case study. And then all of a
mm,
sudden you start realizing like it's added all this stuff in that never happened. And then
mm.
you go, oh,
Yeah.
like, so I think sometimes and I sort of resonate with what you're saying about like, oh, you kind of overthink what came back compared to your own version.
Mm,
I feel like
yeah.
this happens a lot with like we just accept what AI like we think AI is like the epitome of knowing everything and we have a lot we do seem to have trust in a way of like oh yeah it must know how to do great SEO content because I've asked it to or it must
Mm,
know what's going to engage with the pain points of my audience because it has the pain points of my audience and it
mm,
has all this
mm,
knowledge so we almost accept what it gives us over
mm.
challenging what it gives us because we're time poor and we just go, yep, that'll do, like
Yeah.
chuck it in.
Mm,
And I think there's
mm,
definitely a time and a place for that. And it depends on like not just the prompts, but the input that you have. A lot of
mm,
what I use it for personally is a lot of my clients create videos or they voice note me. And
mm,
what I do
mm,
is
mm,
I use AI to kind of tidy up that voice note because
mm,
what they've given me is what I needed, and I just need it tidied up a little bit.
mm,
From like going through, maybe they send me a 5 minute voice note or a
mm,
10 minute voice
Yeah,
note that
yeah,
just happened, and
yeah.
to cut that down takes a lot of time. So
Mm,
like those sorts of things, rather than just accepting like what it gives you, and
Yeah.
always like, and I mean, I think, while we do have these trusts for AI, like they glitch all the
Mm.
time. Like, they say things that don't even exist or don't even happen, and if you
Yeah.
just accept it and just copy and paste it in, and
Mm.
I like to think that people don't do that, but I still think we do. I think
Oh
if
yeah.
we're on a bad day or we're busy and we just want to get something out, we will just
Mm.
accept, anything that it's given, which I think is like,
Mm.
it's normal. We would do that with a team member, right? If we had a team member, a VA or a social media manager, or even, if we managed a team, would go like, oh, yeah, look, it's Friday, I can't be bothered. That'll do. Get it
Mm.
out.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Mm.
there's a lot of that. But I think a lot of now what I'm seeing is um people going, oh my God, like even like with Claude, because Claude
Mm.
has design, co-design and does
Mm.
all the
Yeah.
designing. Everything
Mm.
is starting to mash into one and look the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like even, apparently AI was going to take over our personality and be on videos. But you just know,
Mm.
and they just look bad. And I don't think however good they're going to get, they're just not going to be, you just cringe. The only good AI
Yeah.
videos that I watch are either like just satisfying things that are not like for any
Mm.
purpose, or they've made
Mm.
on TikTok those, like, I don't know if you've seen it. It's like the series of fruit, and it's like fruit drama, and it's like a
Yeah.
sitcom, but they're
Yeah.
like fruit.
Yeah.
Like we know
Mm.
it's really clear that it's
Yeah.
AI. Like of course
Mm.
it is. Like
Mm.
a cartoon
Yeah.
animation.
Yeah.
Um, and it's almost cringy. That's why you watch it, but that's sort of the only
Exactly.
only purpose. But I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of business owners are still like overwhelmed with AI. I know it's like we are
Mm.
really starting to um embrace it, I think. But I'm keen
Mm.
to hear, like, obviously something like SEO and search
Mm.
and
Mm.
generative AI and how people are
Yeah.
finding on search. Like when clients come to you, how eager are they about AI, or how are they feeling about, Google and SEO and investing in SEO
Mm.
and all those sorts of things?
You mentioned the word overwhelmed, and I think that sums up a lot where we are right now. And I this is not only true for a business owner, but it's also true for the average SEO, let's say.
Mm,
Because there is an explosion of AI. And bear in mind, I think ChatGPT and most of the AI search system LLMs, they were launched in late 2022, beginning 2023. So it's super fresh. But just like, I think it was in May, Google went out and made statement that they are gonna create huge new AI reforms, with the agents coming in. So you have to optimize your website for an agent being able to call your website. So uh, business owners are overwhelmed. They don't know exactly where to start. Should I prioritize regular SEO, or how should I view AI search? Where should I be? Should I be on Perplexity? Are they the same? There are so many questions that have uh, come up that were not present just 4 years ago.
mm,
And I say this a lot. The person who can say, oh, I guarantee you should do like this. There is there is it's a paradox, because I believe an authority should be able to say, I don't know, but I have a curiosity and I have a willing to find things out.
mm. Yeah. And I
So,
imagine too, especially in this, like, you only have to scroll social media. I remember, like, obviously, I used a lot of ChatGPT because you could create
hmm
custom bots, and I moved from Claude to
mm,
ChatGPT because I
hmm
just, it wasn't worth having both. And the only thing Claude was really good for was like tone of voice over anything
yeah,
else. And then
mm,
all of a sudden the feed's filled with Claude. So you're like, oh, go back over to Claude. And then
mm,
you end up in this sort of spiral of kind of like, oh my God,
mm,
am I doing enough as well? I think
mm,
there's that
mm,
question that comes up, like, am I learning enough? Am I knowing enough? Because like it's endless of what you can do with these
yeah,
platforms. But one client that I thought summed it up really perfectly is like, we are investing so much time in using AI that we're actually losing sight of like the main thing, which is what do our clients need or customers
Mm,
need?
yeah.
What is our offer suite? Like the actual strategy of it rather than like how can I
Mm,
optimize this with AI? And like we're not even really like thinking about, okay, you need to get to a certain point in your business where, yes, of course, if you're in the startups, like you can totally use AI, and like, but we get
yeah.
so obsessed with using AI that we forget about the actual selling
Yep.
and the
Yep.
marketing and the things
Yeah.
that, actually
Yeah.
that make a difference.
Yeah.
I see this all the time with content. We go, okay, I can optimize
Mm,
my content with AI and I
mm,
can mass produce, and then
yeah.
they don't get results with AI. So then they
Mm,
go, oh, well, it's not worth me investing more time in content marketing
mm,
because it clearly doesn't work for me. So then they have in their mind that it's content that doesn't work without thinking like
mm,
you actually haven't found out what your
yeah.
clients and audience are looking for before you can
Yeah.
optimize it with AI.
Mm.
I find that a
Exactly.
lot.
Exactly. And what their pain points are and where they are paying attention and how does the audience and customer journey look like?
Mm,
I think, AI is like being a kid in a candy store.
mm,
It's like just so much to look at. Oh, where are we going to do it? And everybody, I don't know what your LinkedIn feed looks like, but my LinkedIn feeds looks, I can, I don't have any data on this, but I just observe that, where people write what their title is,
yeah.
the amount of people who had just put in AI, almost like whatever they're doing, there is like AI and then filling the blanks, literally. And what AI is actually doing, let's say there's like a five-step process of creating content or doing something else, and AI can reduce those five steps to one, and for the human, it takes five steps. Yes, just because AI can do it faster doesn't necessarily mean it's right. And I think that's where we need to have an honest conversation. Because if we look what I just go back to my example with writing the article, yes, maybe if I would have just like given AI better prompts or whatever, the output would have been a little bit better. But still, I was supposed to save time, right? Not only did I lose time, I became more confused. I became insecure. I was like, this does not sound like me. This
Mm.
does not sound like this slightly quirky Swedish Links and Maria talking about plants, yada yada. It doesn't. It was very like this hit home. Whenever I hear that sentence, this really hit home.
Well, this
I don't
really
know about
struck
you.
stopped me in my tracks.
Exactly. It's just like I feel like my soul is dying.
Yeah.
So
It's actually so sad though for like copywriters that used to like use M dashes and those phrases like those kind of like
yeah.
I used to love word repetition. That was a really big part of my
Mm,
copywriting experience, like
mm,
word repetition. But now
yeah.
it's so common in AI. It's like, oh, I feel like I'm just like, yeah, it steals all the good parts of,
Mm,
and then people go, oh, that and the assumption that everything is AI, I think is
yeah.
getting a bit out of hand. Like, oh, this sounds like ChatGPT. And it's like, well, actually,
Mm,
I wrote it. So thank you for that.
mm,
And it almost can
yeah.
become a little bit of an insult too.
Yeah.
I have had that happen. Like, oh, this sounds
Yeah.
like AI. And it's like, well, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So
But
what do you want me to do?
it's interesting you say that because just the other day I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw these because I live in Stockholm and the housing market in Stockholm is terrible as it is with in most big cities. And there was someone like posting that they were looking for an apartment to, no, sorry, they were trying to rent an apartment out and attach some pictures. I think it was like five, six or whatever. And people were instantly questioning, like, but these does not look like real photos of your apartment. Are they AI? So it's interesting how it has
Yeah,
we have become so almost
skeptical.
exactly like in an instant in ways that we wouldn't again go back 5 years ago. You would never have asked that question,
Mm,
right?
mm.
So I think it's a very interesting development, and we need to approach the whole landscape with uh, kindness, curiosity, but also uh, a bit of a caution. I don't think it's right to just stand up and just be the kid in the candy store because it- I'm like again, I'm not saying I'm against it by no means, but yesterday I was talking to my uncle and I asked him like how much do you use AI? And he was like um because then he mentioned he said to me that he has been encouraged to use it in his on a daily basis. And I see this a lot in organization and bigger companies that they really encourage people to use AI. But when you challenge them like, but what for? They're
Mm.
like, just use it because it's effective,
Yeah, they don't
right?
actually have a proper
Like
reason as to,
exactly.
yeah. Mm.
So if there's a clear purpose, if we don't lose our creative critical thinking, if we still can monitor it with with a human mind, and again, never devalue the human experience, then great. But we
Mm.
should use it when there's a clear purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think even, some of those things that we used to do, it's just like questioning what you do. And it's like, okay, do I
Mm,
need to be doing this? Could I be doing something better with
mm,
my time
yeah.
that is more creative? Because if
Mm,
you can spend less time on managing your inbox and more time on going to networking events, connecting with clients, having conversations in your Instagram DMs, like
mm,
that is what we need to be doing, right? Like
yeah.
that human to human connection.
Mm,
And I think
mm,
with the whole, content and marketing piece, yes, of course, there's things that we can delegate to AI 100%.
mm,
But it's
mm,
almost
mm,
like if marketing is that first window to people seeing you, is
mm,
throwing something together on ChatGPT and calling it a day, or trying to optimize and get as much content out there and
yeah.
do all of that at a high scale that's not of that, like, is that what you want people to
Mm,
see? And it's very
mm,
interesting with the real estate thing, because the way real estate imagery is, it's bulk lighting and angles.
mm,
So I
mm.
can imagine why people would think that's AI, because
Yeah.
they do like the wide lens makes the room look bigger. It's just tactics they've used for years.
Mm,
But
mm,
now it's almost like, I think there's this like trust element that it's so crazy too, because it's like there's two ends of the spectrum. There's people that it's like, if you don't use AI, like, you're not leveling up, and like, your uncle is being told to use it at work. And then there's
mm,
the other spectrum that's like, if you use AI, like, don't even come near me. So it's actually
mm,
it's sort of, yeah, it's crazy. And like, I've got clients that are doing some awesome, awesome automations, and it's cool,
mm,
and it, like, love it.
yeah.
And I think,
Mm,
like, and I'm like, okay, great. Does that give you more time to create videos for me? Because
mm,
I need you on social media. I need you showing up.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. It does free up their time for them to be the face, or if they
Yeah.
want to be the face, or whatever, the
Yeah.
people person. And I am like 100% all for that. But then
Yeah.
there's those elements like, your storytelling and all those
Mm,
elements that make us who we are.
uh,
And I think it's important to just, yeah, take a step back and go like, what is the purpose of being on these channels? What is the purpose of, being in search and being, creating blog articles and doing
mm,
podcasting and doing video,
mm.
all these things. Like, the point is that one-on-one human connection for sure.
A- And I just want to follow up on what you said about the storytelling and the human connection, because my belief is that I have a very strong belief that people do not choose the best quote unquote brands. They don't choose to collaborate with the best brand. They choose the brand that feels most aligned with them. And those are two different things, right?
Hmm.
And that's where the storytelling comes in. That comes with growing a real brand comes in. That's where differentiation comes in. That's where having a solid messaging around your social, LinkedIn, website, Reddit, Quora, you name it.
Mm. Yeah, no,
So
it's
people can
totally
actually
true.
connect with you. So they
Mm.
get you, what you're all about.
Yeah. I just want to hijack this episode to tell you about something that is generally helping and changing the game for business owners that I work with. So if you're sitting there at 5 p.m. scrambling, not sure what to do, what to post, you are not alone. And I have in fact been there along with many other businesses that I've worked with, getting to my laptop, throwing something together, pushing it out there, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Now, this is not strategy and it really feels like survival. That is why I created Content Bootcamp. It is my signature program that takes you through the 7 steps to create a really intentional and aligned content strategy for your business. One that is actually documented, is actually for you, and actually gets results. So there's no more guessing, no more winging it, and no more content hamster wheel. By the end of your journey in Content Bootcamp, you'll have a clear plan on what to post, where to post it, and why, plus the confidence to actually execute it. And you're not doing it alone because I do live calls all the time, so you'll get access to me. I can help you with your strategy and a community of other business owners that are doing the same thing. You'll also get lifetime access, so if your business evolves and grows and changes, it will grow and evolve and change with you. So, if you are ready to stop winging it and start being intentional with your marketing, get a strategy behind you, head to contentqueenmariah.com, check out Bootcamp, Content Bootcamp. I would love to see you there. So before I know I had a client that did a whole event on this, is the kind of buyers and bots concept of your website being as plain enough English that a bot could understand it, but as connecting enough for the human element. In the world of SEO, so obviously there's people that are like, yes, we need to optimize everything for a bot. So let's make it like as bot friendly as possible. How you see, like, how does this dynamic working in the articles that you're writing or the backlinks that you're trying to, go out there? And so like, how is that balance between making something like simple enough that AI can recommend it, but also, and I don't know, I feel like for me, like if I got recommended by a chatbot, I'm not actively customizing this podcast for a bot. I'm actively customizing it for a human. So yeah, like how's that balance working? I know obviously like back in the day we'd call our programs like these ridiculous names that no one knew what they meant. So I truly believe it's made language a little bit more efficient. But I'm keen to hear how that sort of evolved with the sort of bots, agents and creating websites and copy and content for an agent. Like what is it looking like at the moment?
So I am, my niche is human first. I will always be human first. With that being said, we have to be honest with ourselves that this is still a developing field, especially with the whole like agents rolling out, being able to call your website and book an appointment and, being your personal assistant, right? Working in the background 24/7 for you. With that being said, I think I think a lot about being caught up in the maze, in a maze, and I think that if we think too much about bots and optimize for AI search, it's so easy to get caught up in this maze. I think where we are moving towards it's more of an ecosystem where we have to involve many more departments. And by that, I mean customer service, I mean sales, to really have a good understanding. What questions do they get when they're out talking to real human breathing, actual breathing humans? What do they get when people call in? Complain, what do they actually talk about? Because that's when we can create a holistic model, and I think that's a holistic model that's going to be appealing to both humans and bots. And of course, yes, there are tactics that we can apply, but I'm really not the person who talks in the language of tactics, because it's just not who I am. It's not my natural language. And again, I want to stay true to myself. And I think that's something all brands need to do, because if I all of a sudden, Linksa Maria would start to talk in very technical jargon and query fans this and domain rating this, and it would dilute my message. I would send confusing message across the web. to the training data, and confuse both humans and AIs. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's like, not sort of conforming to what these bots are looking for, because at the end of the day, the bots are informed by the human. So it's like the
Exactly.
algorithm. It's like the
Yeah.
algorithm. We always think, oh, I want to hack the algorithm, but the algorithm is made up of what people are consuming. So like if
Yeah.
you make content that people like or people engage
Mm.
with or people
Yeah.
find is of value, the algorithm will push it to them. That's just how it works. And I think we get caught up. We think of the bot first, not the person first.
Mm.
Mm.
And I think you have to really be honest that because as humans we are lazy. We want to find the quick wins. Like how do I show up in ChatGPT in one day? Like that's how we are. We want to, even me when I'm growing a plant, I'm impatient. I am like I'm running to the kitchen. I'm like, why is it not growing? Like I'm very impatient. So I get it. I'm the same. But we really need to I think we really need to start inwards and go outwards. So really take care if our customers are giving us really horrible feedback, the sales representatives get bad feedback. We need to take care of that first and really get good sort of vibe in general on the internet before we start to really go all in on our website and create new thought leadership articles and go to podcasts. Because if there's too much garbage going on, like it doesn't matter if you build the best backlinks or if you do fantastic PR. You gotta have the foundations right, and that's the same if we talk a little bit more about the technical aspects of things. You have to have the site structure in place. You have to have the internal linking in place. There has to be a logical site structure. So to say that just one element, whatever that is going to save us all, that's not how it's going to work. It's never been the case, but because there are more moving parts than ever, and how we just see how and I see yesterday actually I was looking at the job market in Sweden, and I've noticed this, that just a couple of years ago people would post job opportunities, and if we look in the SEO field it would be like SEO manager, SEO head of search, blah blah blah. But now I've noticed a shift, and the shift is more towards like you are a marketing manager. It's like more holistic. We're moving towards a more multifaceted ecosystem kind of model.
Mm. Yeah, which I mean we see it, right? Like if you just do and I mean we specialize in our things, right? But
Mm,
there is I have these conversations all the time. I could create all this social media content, but if the website's not optimized, like as you're saying, if the product's also not good, that's a worry.
mm,
But I think a lot of
mm,
the times it's more like the website's not converting, but you can send more traffic to it. But if you haven't fixed what's happening on your website, like we're just going to
yeah.
keep sending, and it's like with paid advertising. If you don't have your funnel working before you set up paid ads,
Mm,
you're just highlighting what's like, you're just emphasizing what's broken, basically.
mm, yeah.
Um, and this is like I had a conversation with a client that's doing paid advertising, and the advertising agency is sending all these thoughts, and they could have had a conversation, but one of them I didn't see was like the fact that there was X amount of people, like a lot of people go to that page. What is the
Mm,
conversion rate? Like, what does that look like? And yes, obviously there was some edits getting made to the page, but like that's sort of the data will tell us a lot about what is broken. So when we are
mm,
working in our marketing, it's sort of like, rather than trying to fix one thing, it's like looking at the
mm,
the overall picture, right? Just
mm.
assuming like, oh, well, and I see this all the time, likes, we're not getting many likes. And it's like, you don't need likes. You need
No,
people seeing what you're doing.
exactly.
You need like people going to your website, and you need people to buy from you. As a business
Mm,
owner, obviously it
yeah.
depends on the goal.
Mm, Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's super interesting because we often don't look at it from that. Like I get a lot of clients as well, mainly the mentoring. Like they look at one post and they're like, "Oh, look,
Mm,
the watch time is gone up." I'm like, "That's great,
mm,
but let's look
mm.
at it at the end of the month and let's look at, and
Yeah.
then we can dive into specific posts and see what works." But like getting so
Mm,
caught up in like one post at a time, I mean, it
yeah,
drives you a little bit insane.
absolutely. And yeah, I agree.
Amazing. So, obviously we sort of talked about this like trust and reputation that comes with building AI and sorry, building online with the use of AI.
Mm.
What do you think is going to look like for the future, like our reputation with trust, relationships? What do you see is going to happen with the sort of growth of AI and us like continuing to use it? What do we need to make sure that we're putting out there to ensure that we're still gaining that trust while also optimizing and systemizing our back end and our processes and everything?
Oh, so much going on in that question. I love it. Uh, um, I think what we really need to focus on is finding the right balance between who we are, who we want to become, but also what our audience are all about and what they want to become.
Mm, yeah, I like that. And tell me more
And the
about
gap, the
this. Yeah.
bridge. No, but uh, it's just because everything is, we're always evolving, and AI is forcing us to evolve. And we really need to have a good understanding of who we are, but with the tornado that AI is, we also need to always think about what are we going to become? What is not, what is the future going to look like in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? Um, and and also, I know that I am doing backlinks and I talk about brand mentions and citations and the technical aspects again, but we cannot forget the offline activities and really nurture those. And one thing I don't see that many people talking about is that we have to, and this is especially true if you actually meet a lot of people face to face as offline, that who you are online needs to be very similar who you are in real life,
Mm,
because you can, otherwise it's not gonna, it's just gonna feels like a performance, right? So, and I think that is all quite often actually overlooked,
mm,
because let's face it, like even now, well, I guess this is somewhat, you can get a pretty good feeling of who Mariah and Maria are, and when people are doing podcasts. But still, to actually meet someone face to face, to shake their hands, to sit down, just like by noticing, like, oh, she has this kind of pen. What does that say about her? And how does she hold the pen? Like those little things
mm,
uh, says a lot about a person, the manner of a person, how they, the posture, the tone of voice, in the details. Um, and I'm all about building trying to minimize the gaps, both
mm,
when it comes to the lack of understanding online, but also offline. But it all comes back to living and breathing your brand and growing your brand and evolve your brand in an authentic way.
mm. Yeah, actually, it's so interesting you say that because I was catching up with a client and we did some footage for them and they did a workshop and one of the attendees does a lot of online social media content and actually they got feedback that who they are online is very different to who they are in person. And
Ah.
that is, yeah, that can be really hard because, it is
Mm,
can be easier. I think this happens in the influencer world, right? Like they put on this
mm,
persona, and sometimes it's for the entertainment, so that's fine, that's their
mm,
objective,
mm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But when you are like, providing a service or selling something,
Mm,
and it's also your legacy as well in that, I think
mm,
it is quite important. Obviously, I think most people struggle more to be authentic online than they do in person. I don't often see it the other way around. I mean, this was a
mm,
exception. And I
mm,
think it can be hard to like let your guard down on social media. And I think
mm,
it isn't always about like airing out everything and but also
mm,
having that sense of your personality in what you deliver, because and in your brand, as you're saying, because I think, yeah, a lot of the times we can shelter things and not share things. I see this all the time with clients that don't think certain things are relevant because who would care? This
Yeah.
isn't important. And to be fair, sometimes people don't care. But if you presented it in a way that is about them, then yeah, sure, they're gonna care, they're gonna be interested. But yeah, and that sort of things, I guess, from that human element, if we come back to like that sort of more human, less AI, or more human in what you're showing, they're things that like can't really be replicated. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, your tone of voice or how you write, yeah, sure, maybe AI can learn that. And if it can help you like smash out a couple of captions for your social posts, if that means you're showing up on video, great. Like, I think, and also in the delivery in which we put things out there, like in our, like you said with your blog article, like maybe it's the structure or the way that you structure your blog that AI didn't, I love, like, no, I don't love, I hate it, but I love that it's so consistently happening. Is though, like, everything, nothing is in paragraphs with AI. So you got to keep saying like, put it in a paragraph or, whatever.
Yeah.
But those are the things that, I've got clients that write in really big paragraphs. And yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, for readability, maybe we should break these up, which yeah, sure. But like that's their writing style. And I think like they're the sort of like little things that maybe we want to bring back into our content. But there can be things that we're just like, sure, if I could show up on video more frequently and write a 2-sentence caption with AI, like, by all means. But yeah, it is interesting because I think it can be very challenging to know if what you're presenting in both worlds is similar. But I think like it is a lot easier when you do sort of just be yourself and find those ways to show up like you.
Yeah. And this goes back to the question of optimizing your website for a human and you said bots and agents, because you cannot, I really believe like we are going to talk just more and more about growing a brand. And to grow a holistic brand, you need to be yourself, whatever that is. And you have to meet your audience, people where they are at, what they are ready for, and talk, because what you want to talk about is not necessarily what your audience is ready to talk about. So you have to find the balance there, a match there.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I find that happens. It's like what people think they need versus what they actually need, and you've got to kind of try and meet them in the middle. And I think too, like with especially with Google, like with Gemini, I find it's quite good at understanding the gist of things. Like, maybe you use some slang or maybe you have a bit of a quirkiness about you. But like it was so interesting. I was searching a particular award that my client had won and I wanted to know who the other finalists were. It was literally just before.
Okay.
And she ended up sending me a picture. I didn't realize she had, but I was like searching the award, searching the nominees. And because we did a LinkedIn post about it, Gemini had picked the post as them being one of the finalists, which I thought was quite cool, right?
Yeah.
And, obviously we wrote the keyword like the award and finalists and startup. But like there was other things in that post about emotion and about the feeling of it and the process and the story of it. And like, it was able to cut that to the cause. So like, what we're saying before about like the buyers and the bots situation, which is what one of my old client had done a lot of content on, and it's quite interesting. I do think bots are quite good at understanding sort of like what we mean. They're sort of getting the too long didn't read version of it and are able to sum that up. So I think it's interesting because I mean, someone messaged me and said they found this podcast through AI. So, and I didn't intend, like I didn't, put all my eggs in the let's get found on ChatGPT basket. And I've had that happen. I think it's just, as you're sort of alluding to, like just show up, be you, talk about what people like. I love what you said about, obviously a lot of people listening probably are the sales team and are the customer service. But how often do we have meetings and then sit there or use our, these beautiful things that we pay for, like Otter AI and Read AI and whatever AI is there. There's about a million. They give us all these meeting notes. For what reason? For them just to sit there. Like how often is there, like I've got clients that use words of their clients on their website as ways of describing how they're feeling. And I've, I've seen it have like, oh my God, I felt like you're talking to me. It's like, yeah, because you told me that and I used that word and I put it on my website.
Yeah.
Like that sort of social listening that we now have the ability to do with all these tools that we've plugged in. But I love that you said that, because I think like there's so much beauty in different elements, like your sales calls, your talking with clients, your meetings with clients, your talking from at networking events. Like there's so much that people are actually telling you. And I don't think people are listening enough to it, because the answer, like we say, oh, I don't know what to post, or I don't know what my audience wants to know about. It's like they're literally telling you. If you're talking to them, they're telling you.
Yeah. Yes, you're correct. Absolutely. And I just wanted to mention something when you said about your podcast showing up in ChatGPT without feeling that you have done any like actual work, so to speak, but you have. And what you have done is that you have really claimed topic ownership. So the ChatGPT has been able to understand what you're all about.
Yeah.
So that's what it is, and that's what we are moving towards. That if you want to create a brand that shows up and that someone really feels like, in an ideal world, that there's a connection there, you need to identify your core topics and claim, quote unquote, ownership of that. Really define them, and then go out and just spread the message in an authentic way.
Oh, I love that, because that was something I did in 2021. I had a catch up with a guy that told me about, like, you don't have to be the best at one thing, but you can bring two things together and like own them. So I picked strategy and storytelling as the two things that I want to be known for. And I just went to town, and I've been going to town on that ever since. Sometimes it feels like no one's bloody listening and I'm talking into the void. And some weeks I'm like, oh my God, people get it. So, like I think, and often, as you said before, where we are very impatient. So we then move, like, we sort of take on that, like, learn fast and change faster sort of concept of the startup world, of like shift and pivot and do this and do that. But like a lot of these startups are coming from a place of they want to get investment as quick as possible, grow fast and sell faster. And like if you're building a brand that's like something that you're planning on being in part of for a long time, that's just the energy that it brings. You've got to be consistently showing up. And there's a product that I've had for a long time, and like sometimes I never talk about it and sometimes I really do talk about it, and it's like that consistency of like showing up for it. And I think we lose that a lot in this very fast-paced world of just like move on. If it's not working, move on, rather than like, oh no, I actually really love this and I believe in it and I just have to keep talking about it. Because as you're saying, these bots and even Google and all the things, they don't learn overnight. It's like, you've got to teach them who you are. And if you're swapping and changing every 5 seconds, it's going to be confused, right? It's not going to know what you're doing.
And I think in the end of the day, people like and want to do business with people they like.
Yeah.
And that they can attach to.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing. Well, this is such an interesting conversation. Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing all of your expertise and what you're seeing. It's really cool to hear from someone that's like sort of in that SEO world and like, and in it every day, to sort of like get that confirmation that, there is no silver bullet, there's no magic pill that just all of a sudden changes and transforms your business, regardless of what's coming up on the TikTok algorithms. But how can people find you and learn more about what you do?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I loved it. You can just type in Links and Maria, one word, and you can find me on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And if you want to email me, it's maria@linksandmaria.com.
Amazing. We'll have all your details in the show notes. But thank you so much. I've loved chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so how does that change your perspective around content? Like what's that got you thinking about how we can show up, how we can still be human at the same time, right? We know these AI bots are powerful in Google search. We know we're all using them. It's just about finding that balance. And if you've found yourself leaning towards one way or the other, maybe this episode just gave you that fresh perspective that you needed. Or maybe it was just interesting to listen to. Not every episode you have to get like an aha moment. It could just be about rethinking how you're using things, or just to go, that's interesting. That's an interesting way of looking at things. But just be a content queen or king, and remember that developing your strategy and story develops your business. Thank you so much for joining me today, and please don't forget to share this with all your business and entrepreneurial friends. You can do this by adding it to your Insta stories and tagging me at Content Queen Mariah, or just simply tell them about it. If you do rate and review on whatever platforms you're listening to this on, helps me get more pictures, more guests, more content, all the things. And if you have an episode you want me to talk about in the future, a guest you want me to have on, please send me a message at Content Queen Mariah on Instagram. You can email me information@contentqueenmariah.com. Talk to me on LinkedIn, follow me on all the platforms, and I would love to hear from you. But I will see you next week. Bye.